All right, talking about mold exposure today, talking about some really important things to note when you think you might be dealing with mold, when you feel like, yeah, something's not right, my system isn't responding, I don't know what to do next. How do I navigate all this stuff? Where do I even start? Because it can be really frustrating, really overwhelming, and you can feel like you've lost your mind when you've had mold exposure. So I've done podcasts on this. My podcast is called The Female Health Solution. I'm Dr. Beth Westy, women's health and hormone expert. And I am one of those who, I have not had the easiest health journey myself and still have things that pop up that I have to deal with. So this was about a year ago. I started diving into the potential of mold exposure in my home where we were living. We have since moved because we had to do a whole bunch of treatment to our house. So we had to move out so that the treatment could happen and clear out the mold. Sometimes depending on where the mold is or how it happened in your home, there's a whole different variations for cleaning it up and mitigating it. My husband's in construction, so he can do the work himself. Otherwise you have to hire somebody. That's a whole other conversation, ball of wax and everything. But the biggest thing that can be really tough for people is how you feel personally when you've been exposed to mold. You can have a ton of different really wonky symptoms and not really be able to narrow down exactly why you're feeling the way you're feeling or what to do about it. You can have headaches, fatigue, you can have disrupted sleep, you can have weight gain, gut issues, hormone issues, things like that. So this is where all of this comes in, because when this is what I do for work, like women's hormones and things like that. And I was having a disrupted cycle. I was having issues myself. And I was like, something is off. I also don't feel quite right. What's going on with my body, etc. Mold, right? So I've talked about kind of the journey that I've been on in my podcast, but I wanted to do a little summary of how to really address this for your body and for your system. Because it's not helpful just to think, well, I just have to get out of the mold and then I'll be better. Not necessarily, right? I did genetic testing and found out, lucky me, I don't detox mold. I don't detox biotoxins naturally. Right? My body it doesn't do it. So I need help. I need assistance. I need binders to help my system detox. So there are some people out there who are like, you don't ever need to detox, your body does it naturally, blah, blah, blah. A healthy body does it naturally, right? But there are some genetic variations, like when we talk about genetics or epigenetics or all these other things, that sometimes your system just does not function the same way. If you are fatigued, if you have too much stress, if you have endocrine disruption happening in your system, your body will not detox naturally. And especially when you come in contact with a biotoxin like mold. Yeah. So I went through all this testing to find out that this is what it was. But sometimes people are like, listen, I know I've been exposed to mold. I grew up with it, right? I grew up in it within my home and now I'm in my 30s or 40s. Could it still be impacting my system? Yes. Because if your body doesn't detox that biotoxin, it hangs out. And it can be other stressors or things that happen currently in your life that triggers that response. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? That sounds terrible, right? So here are the things that I did to really target this, like with all of the extensive work that I have done, all of the blood work, labs, genetic testing, gut testing, hormone testing, all of this stuff. What it really came down to was first I needed to go through and get the right binders for the detox that I needed. Now, how do you know what kind of detox you need? How do you know where and what to detox, right? That is where one of the tests that I did and do for people is Dutch test. So there's a link here in the comments for you to learn more about what Dutch test is. It tests your hormones, tests your nutrient levels, all of that stuff to make sure we are addressing some of these issues. And sometimes they can be tough when you have a hormone issue. You might be thinking, gosh, chicken or egg here, which came first? Is it my hormone issue that's triggering this? Or was it because I was exposed to mold that it's triggering my hormone issue? I don't really know. It can be either. But either way, we need to know what your hormones are doing, how your body's processing things, where things need to be shunted out, your nutrient levels and everything else. And then we can get the right binders for the right detox process for your system. So if you have more questions on this, I would love to hear them in the comments. I do check the comments. I make sure that if you leave a comment, I'm going to respond to it to answer any questions that you have, because this is a really confusing and really difficult topic to dive into. And sometimes it can seem like there's no good answers out here. So make sure you leave a comment if you have a question on this. But binders to help your body detox is the first thing that you have to do. Now, at the same time, in the same breath, doing binders for too long or too intensely can have a negative repercussion on your system. So you need to tiptoe into this at a certain pace, which is something that I set for people. I make sure that we're doing this appropriately so you're not having horrific symptoms from detoxing. But we have to replenish nutrients. Now, this is really important because doing detoxification can actually deplete your system of some nutrients. If you're doing it too long, if you're doing it too aggressively, and you're not addressing some of these things overall, your body can become depleted in nutrients. These can be vitamins or minerals, proteins, things like that. And it can be that much harder for your system to come around. So it's important that we go, that we get the right vitamins in your system. And then the last piece here that I want to talk about with this is that you have to have your nutrition on point. You have to have enough protein. Protein is one of the big key things here. This is where I see people making the biggest mistakes with detoxification overall. And mold, it's that much harder for your system. The biggest mistake is that you are already depleted. Your systems, you're arriving at the starting line of this detoxification race already hurt, right? You want to run this race against people and you've got 2 sprained ankles. You're not starting off great, right? You're not going to get the right results. You're not going to have a great time. It's going to be terrible. And then you're not going to be able to finish the race because you're causing more damage along the way. So here, when we are replenishing nutrients and getting enough protein in your system, this is the biggest key thing overall, to help supply your body with the energy it needs to actually have the right process happen. So I see this a lot where people are like, I'm doing this thing, or I did this hormone detox, or I'm trying, do I need to detox mold? I'm trying to do that. I research stuff, great, but if you're not getting guidance on it, you're not going to have the same kind of energy, stamina, and fuel to actually have this process occur in your system. Meaning you're going to be spending all this time, all this energy, all this money on trying to get the right binders and detoxification things in, but it's not doing it, so you're not getting the right result, you're not getting the right process. In fact, I chatted with somebody who was like, yeah, I know I have mold. I tried to do a mold detox a year ago, and I thought it was going well, but then my system totally crashed and burned after 2 months, and it's been really hard to build myself back up. Can we start detoxing? Yes, but we have to work up to a point where your body can detox, and we have to replenish, and it starts with protein. It starts with the right nutrients. It starts with getting your body healthy and strong enough so that you can run this race, so that you can handle these binders, because they are intense. The timing of what you do is intense. But when you're doing the right things and implementing these things in the correct path, it's life-changing. It's life-changing. You start to feel different. You start to notice that shift and change happen where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how much brain fog I had until it started to clear. I didn't realize how much inflammation I had until all of a sudden people started telling me that I look slimmer and I'm just not puffy anymore. Yes. That's what I'm talking about when you're getting the right things in. So this is what we do together. So make sure, again, you're going in the comments, clicking on that link to get a Dutch test for you, to start looking at your levels, start looking at your hormones, see what your body really needs. Otherwise, you're going to be running in circles and not really getting anywhere. So that's what I got for you guys today. Let me know if you have any other questions. Other resources I have for you, of course, are my books, The Female Fat Solution and The Female Menopause Solution. These are all about how to eat for your hormones and your cycle. They are on Amazon. Fantastic things to start with. I also have my tinctures for estrogen and progesterone. These are available on my website, nutritionforhormones.com. And then I also have, this is something that I have to talk about because this has been so helpful for so many people. Stress that you're under, things happening in your life, adrenal balance, This is specifically formulated for the female body, for your system dealing with a lot of stress. And so this is something that I oftentimes will have to support your body with while we're detoxing mold, while we're going through this. So make sure you're getting this tincture if you are noticing, oh, yep, I'm not sleeping well. I really can feel stress impact on my body. This is going to be an amazing thing to add in. And then of course my YouTube channel is called Dr. Beth Westie, where I have all my videos located so you can make sure you're getting all the right resources for what you need. But I'm here as a resource for you. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Bye.